We are going to continue to count down my top 100 games of my favorites of all time. Hey, I'm Will. This is a channel where we like to play solo board games, do playthroughs, reviews, have some guests, do some discussions, and hopefully just have fun enjoying this awesome hobby that we all just love so much. And I am slowly counting down, or quickly counting down, my top 100 games. So this is my personal favorites. Of course, this list is going to fluctuate year to year, I'm sure, because there are games that are coming out all the time. And I'm also, there's also games I have that have just haven't made it to the lists, even to the listing criteria, because I just haven't played them enough. So we are on to 80 to 71, and every one of these top 100 games are all just incredible games. I mean, heck, even my top 300 are just all incredible games. But we are just going to focus on these top 100 now. And let me know if there's any games that you see on here that you also love or you would like to see a playthrough of. Please let me know in the comments. And let's begin. My number 80 favorite game, as of now, is Vilticulture Essential Edition. And this could be with or without the Tuscany expansion, but I know this is a lot of caveats, but I would include the More expansion or the Rhine and More. No, anyways, whatever the card box expansion that evens out the randomness from the card scoring. Now, famously, there is a method of playing the base game as it comes in the box, where you generate one bottle of wine and then you just show it off to people, and you find and then dig for cards. And I've seen, and I've even personally used this to win games before, and it always felt unfun. So I do think the card box expansion. Is it Visitors of the Rhine? I don't know. Anyways, the small card box expansion does help even that out and make less swingy card scoring opportunities, and does encourage you to play the game as it was designed, because the game is fantastic. You are growing your fields. You're kind of building out your vineyard with windmills and trellises and tasting houses and better storage and cellars, and you are planting fields of grapevines of various types. You're harvesting and crushing the grapes. You are making them into wine and champagne and sparkling wine. You are aging them, and you're delivering them and fulfilling contracts. And all this stuff comes together in a very interesting game that's based around pacing for the time of year. It is a worker placement game where you have a certain number of workers to place out. And of course, you can gain more workers, which is always the correct answer. But the game splits it into seasons. And of course, with the Tuscany expansion, it splits it even further into seasons. So everyone takes turns placing in summer until everyone's done with summer. Whether you placed one worker or no workers or all your workers in summer, that is fine. And then you on to the next season and the next and so on. And it makes for a very interesting, tight game where your play order really matters, where you're looking ahead and seeing what other people might want to do, and whether you think spots will still be available to you later on, or if you should just hurry up and do stuff now. It works well, and of course the theme does come through. Number 79 is Orichalcum. And Orichalcum? I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. This is based off of the mythical element, or metal, I guess I would say. This is a game of a tight race to 5 points. Points can be gained through a few different ways. This is a game where you can teach this in a very small amount of time, because the game flow is just so quick and smooth. You are drafting a card from the market, and the card tells you what action you're going to do, and sitting on the card is a randomly assigned tile, which you have to place on your board, touching other tiles. And that's essentially it for your turn play. And then you're activating whatever the card is. So you're either producing more Orichalcum, you are getting more troops, you are building, which is potentially either getting new specialty buildings to upgrade stuff, or you are building a big monolithic kind of pyramid thing over a set of 4 different spaces that are for unique spaces. And those pyramids are worth endgame points. Or you could even turn in 5 Orichalcum for another endgame point. So first to 5 of those wins. However, there are also gods to contend with. And those gods you can get through creating a grouping of the same amount of buildings. And it starts at 3, but then as long as you make the group 1 larger, you can steal it back and forth from players. It's a little more complicated how that part works, but the gods, you only get 1 of them unless you have an upgrade, but that also counts as in-game points. And of course, you also can't win the game unless you've cleared all the monsters off of your board, and those can't come with the tiles that you drafted. And so fighting the monsters, the timing of when to be first player, because you have to have the most troops to do it. But you have to fight the monsters, so you're going to lose some troops. Drafting and placements, and do you want to steal a god from someone else, or so you can then use their special power? It's comes out of a very simple game, but it just flows so quickly, and always comes down to, the last turn or second last turn where you were all 1 turn away from winning or 1 dice roll away from winning, but someone just sneaks out ahead and takes it. And it always feels tense and always a lot of fun. There's also a solo mode for this, and I do suggest you check it out. Production is excellent as well. Number 78 is Parks. This is, I don't know if it's based on the posters or is just inspired by, or they're using them, but there are a series of U.S. National Park posters that were commissioned some time ago, and this game uses their artwork, and boy is it pretty. Also, the production is very nice. The cards and the art and the graphic design are just top-notch. Components, everything are great. Comes in a nice, relatively small-sized box. And the gameplay is just light and simple. You are advancing your hiker down the trail. If you want to stop where someone else is, or where one of your own hikers is, you have to expend your campfire. And then at the location you end up, you're generally getting resources. Now you are only moving in one direction. So eventually you are going to get to the end of that trail, and you can turn in resources to claim one of these national park cards, or you can buy some equipment for your backpack to upgrade things, or your canteen. And this turns into a very nice kind of collecting and turning them in for points, based off the stuff in the market. Very smooth game. Each round gets a little bit, the path gets a little longer, and the locations in the path get randomized in order. So the games are slightly different each time. And it's smooth, it's fun. The backpacks add enough variety, and the weather adds enough variety that it's always a little bit different. And it's just a ton of fun to play. Super easy to teach, and just get to the table. 77 is Fantastic Factories. And boy, those factories are fantastic. I would always include the green expansion, not the red one. The red one adds take that player things that are never fun to play with. I never enjoy just whacking somebody just because I had that card. But the green one adds companies that give you special ability throughout the game, as well as a ton more content. So this is a simultaneous action game. And this is where this game shines, because after you draft 1 card from the market, either a specialist card, which gives you a one-time ability, or the building cards, then everyone just plays simultaneously. So the games go very fast. You roll your dice, and then you either place the dice on a building, either your main company building to get some resources and cards, or in other buildings for different special effects. Sometimes the numbers matter, sometimes you have to play sets of dice. And then you are trying to add more cards or more buildings, more factory cards to expand your ability to do stuff. And, this comes together in a very interesting, tight kind of race to enough points. You could win by just building more valuable buildings, or you could win by producing more goods. So there's a couple different paths to victory there. The expansion adds vitamins as well that allows a little bit more control over adjusting the pips on your dice, which is very handy. And it's just a very fast, very satisfying worker placement game, and the solo works also very well for it. I have a playthrough on my channel here too. Number 76 is Skull King. This is very similar to another trick-taking game called Wizard, except Skull King adds a bit of a hierarchy to the wizards per se. And this is a great game to introduce to people who are used to classic classic card games like euchre, like spades, and other games like that. Because the rules are very similar. It's got very standard trick-taking rules. The twist comes in two places. First, it comes in the betting, which Wizard does in turn order, but the Skull King does it randomly. So you go 1, 2, 3, and then you show your bid for how many tricks you think you're going to take. And this is a game that rewards accuracy, because you get good points for getting your target trick, but you lose points based on how far off you are from your target, or from your pledge of how many tricks you're going to get. And then there's also a couple of wrinkles with the pirate cards that might get swooned by the mermaids, but then the Skull King defeats the mermaids. So there's a bit of a almost push your luck sense with those, and gives a little bit more kind of randomness and swing to the game that just loosens things up a little bit. It makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting too. Excellent game. Each hand you're playing larger and larger hands of card as too. So there's definitely an arc to the game as well. It's a lot of fun. 75 is Civilization: A New Dawn, and specifically with the Terra Incognita expansion. If you want a civ building game, this is probably the best one you can get out there. I know. Those are strong words. But I've played probably most civ games out there, everything from like Antiquity to I've forgotten the names of them now, through the ages to like I've had Discoveries? No. Anyways, I've already forgotten the names of them. I've played well over 1,000 games in my lifetime. And I've played just so many civ games, and this one is by far my favorite. And it does the most civ-like things that I find are very interesting. There, especially with the expansion, it adds exploration. So this is 4X style civ exploration. The map expands as you explore and discover. There's barbarians. There's wonders that you discover, geological sites, heavily defensible sites and mountains and things that you can go after. You are expanding your sites. You're building your militaries. You're building smaller cities. You are, you're exploring. You're fighting and conquering other players as well as the barbarians. You are assigning governing styles and districts as well, which is part of the expansion too. And for the technology aspect, you are upgrading your action cards. This is the first game that I've seen that uses this style of action cards. I know it was later copied by Arc Nova to in a great way. And the Arc Nova expansion, actually, it's kind of funny, kind of borrowed a lot of elements from the expansions in this one too, because you have a set of action cards in a row, and after you use an action card, you take it out and move it to the left. And kind of how far up that row the action card resides is the strength of the card. So do you want to wait until a card rises to the top and is the most powerful? or do you need to use something earlier? And of course, you can modify those as well. But each civilization is also able to uniquely upgrade some of those cards into different eras and different abilities that make a progressively growing and stronger game. Of course, everyone has multiple upgrades, and there's a whole set of cards for this. So you're not just getting, you're not just getting one upgrade. You're going up through multiple stages. And do you want to focus on only upgrading some parts of your civilization or other parts? By the end of the game, everyone's going to be very asymmetric in what they can do, and it is very interesting. It feels probably the most like the classic Civilization video game or Civ 5 in terms of like how that works and the politics and everything that comes together in a relatively tight, quick package too. Like it's only a couple hours to play through a game at 4 or 5 players, and that's pretty surprising for any Civilization game, especially one with so much meat and stuff going on. So highly recommended. There is also solo mode too, which is cool. Number 74 is Raiders of Scythia. This is one of the Garfield games. This is a kind of a reimagining of Raiders of the North Sea. This is their Scythian kind of re-theme version, where they've kind of took some of the best elements of that, put them in, and brought in horses and birds and stuff like that as well to upgrade your cards. So it's my preferred version. I know if you already have Raiders, especially with expansions, you would not need to change to this version. But if you're just getting in, this is the way to go. This is a worker placement game where it's very simple. You place one worker on the board, you take a different worker off the board. You activate both spots. And this turn is very interesting because you are back home getting resources and upgrading and recruiting people and getting horses and getting kunis and to help you with rerolls, dice rerolls, and you're kind of building out your raiding team. And then you're going off and you're raiding, the Greeks and the Romans and so on, where then you have to push your luck and roll dice a little bit more, potentially take some damage, but then bring home the spoils. And clearing off those locations. And of course, then you're trying to fulfill some contracts and stuff too, based on those things. And it just becomes a fun, almost sandboxy Euro game where there's a fair amount of flexibility in how you can build your characters out. Do you want to let them die for bonuses, or do you want to add more characters, risk going out earlier and get somewhere before your opponents do? As you're going out in the world further and further, you're also getting stronger and stronger workers to unlock some other types of actions. It is just an excellent game. Next is Air, Land, and Sea. This is a small box card game. They also have a critter version that has some funky critter art, and they also made a sequel called Lies, Lies, and Supplies, or something like that. This is just a fantastic head-to-head 2-player card game, small box, where you are taking turns playing cards to 3 different theaters of war, like the titled Land, Air, and Sea. And there are just so many tricks and sneaky things you can do with placing cards face down and getting them to flip and flipping opponents' ones face down to deactivate things. And really, this comes down to bluffing your opponent into thinking they can win until you win, or reading early as you can that you're losing and then backing out. The reason for this is victory points are awarded based on how many cards get played. And so this means that you really have to kind of judge the battle or think how far you can go, or like I said, sucker your opponent into playing all their cards. Now you get the maximum victory points, and this is just a straight race to 12 points to win. Tons of variety. In such a small box, lots of neat strategies come out. 72 is Railroad Inc. I have the big giant epic edition of this that has 4 color boxes, the red and blue original ones, and then the yellow and the green, as well as all the fun expansion content. There's just too much to explore here. But the basic puzzle is very fun, very approachable. You roll some dice, you draw what they show on your board, and you're trying to connect exits around the board, whether they be railroad exits or road exits. And there's ways to connect them. There's you want to make longer chains, you want to get stuff in the middle of the board, and you are trying to, connect as many possible things to each other as you can for the most amount of points. Now, the expansion material is where this game really shines. Each of the core boxes, and I would probably suggest either the blue or the green as the first route in, because the green and the yellow add specialty locations that give you some bonuses. But all expansions, all the boxes, each have a set of, or 2 different sets of 2, so 4 specialty dice that add something. So like the blue ones add rivers or lakes. And the red one adds volcanoes and asteroids. So now, not only are you trying to build your roads and trains to connect them, but a volcano has erupted and lava is spilling out, and you have to deal with that. Or you have to deal with the path of the river, and so on. And there is, especially in the Big Essential Edition big box, there's just a ton of these additional expansions you can add. There's different modes to play, like giant epic versions that use multiple expansions at once. Like you can have portals and Cthulhu tentacles or something, wild like that, to mix and match them. It's just a ton of fun, and the puzzle is just very nice. Even as to play, you play remotely, you can play solo, and it's just excellent. Number 71 is Project L. This is kind of like Tetris, the board game, as if it was a deck building game. It's like Tetris, the deck building game. You are getting pieces, like Tetris type shaped pieces that are these like lovely little plastic pieces, and you're getting essentially contracts, which are these black and white shape boards that have an indented shape, and then you're trying to fill those boards with your Tetris pieces. You complete a board, you get all your Tetris pieces back, you get a new piece awarded by the board, and you get some points. And it's a race to exhaust the pile of scoring tiles. And where this game really shines, though, is in what's called the master action. So, you can take a basic piece, you can upgrade a piece to a larger piece, you can take new contracts, but the master action is where it shines. And it can be used once per turn, and you get to place one piece in each contract you have. So the game starts off a little bit slow, and you're slowly building up pieces. By the end of the game, you have a ton of pieces, and you're like, master action, one in each of 4 different things. Next turn, master action, 1 each of 4 different things. You finish 2, you get more, and it just starts to churn and race through, but ends just in time before things get too crazy or too long. It's sweet, it's fun, it's puzzly, but not incredibly so. It's very easy to learn and teach new players, and the components are lovely. And it's got a solo mode too, which is what I'm here for. All right, that is 80 to 71. Thank you again so much for watching. You can watch the rest of the videos coming up soon, but also take a look at the other ones. If any of these games look like something you would like me to do a playthrough of, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear, and maybe I'll do some of that content. And thanks again for watching.